Good evening, everyone. My name is John Tippett. I'm the Director of Fire Service Programs with the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. And I would like to thank all of you for joining us this evening. We are spending some time with some folks that were intimately involved with the documentary the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation put together to commemorate the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Joining me this evening for the group, we have Deputy Assistant Chief Michael Meyers. He's the FDNY Chief of Safety and was very directly involved in assembling the folks that we interviewed and people that we had a chance to talk to. We have Chief Ron Siarnicki, the Director of the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. Victor Stagnaro, the Managing Director of the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. Rob Maloney, who was the producer from Coolwater, LLC. And then last but not least, we have Joe Minogue. Joe is a retired FDNY lieutenant. He is the NFFF FDNY advocate and was the former head of the FDNY Ceremonial unit. So gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us for a little bit of a chat about what people will be able to see this evening and just an opportunity to join us here. So a couple of questions to go around the group as we come up on the 20th anniversary. And I'd like to start off with Chief Meyers and Joe. Give us a little bit of a background or a sense of where you were in the FDNY and what you were doing on 9/11. So, Chief Meyers.
Yeah, when 9/11 happened, I was at that time a covering lieutenant in Brooklyn in Flatbush and Ladder 147. I was UFO there, which means until further orders there. I was off the morning of the 9/11 attacks. I was watching my daughter, who was a little less than 1 year old at the time. My ex-wife had gone to work, and it was a daddy-daughter day. And I got a call from my mother, I guess, sometime between the first tower and the second tower being struck, that, a tower had, that the World Trade Center had a plane run into it. I turned off Barney and then turned on, the attacks just about the time that the second plane hit the tower. At that point, I knew something was amiss, something was wrong, that they were going to definitely need our help. So at that point, I started to pack up my daughter to bring to my ex-wife at work, to drop her off because I knew that they were going to need people. That took about like 25 minutes. Got in my car, drove to my ex-wife's place of employment, dropped my daughter off. By that time, word had kind of spread and everyone in her office was watching it. So, it was kind of like looking at someone for almost like the last time, like you don't know if you're going to see people again or not. And then from there, I drove to Rescue Force quarters, which is where I got promoted out of. And then from Rescue Force quarters, we commandeered a bus with all the remaining survivors of Rescue 4 who weren't working that day, and went down to Ground Zero and worked, for about the next 18 to 20 hours.
That's just a remarkable account, and hard to believe that 20 years has passed, but it sounds like it came back just like it was yesterday. Joe, how about you? I know we worked on another project together earlier, a podcast about the Father's Day fire. So, and I guess Chief Meyers, you guys were still trying to deal with the loss of the 3 firefighters from Father's Day. Joe?
Well, yeah, John, Father's Day was tough and we lost 3 people, all at once. That was a tough day, especially on Father's Day. But 9/11, it was my first day of vacation. It was a beautiful, beautiful day. I walked my 2 daughters to school, and all the parents was like, "Hey, where you been?" I said, "I've been working, but you'll see me because I'm on vacation." So we all had made plans to catch up at the end of the school day and, see how the kids were doing and everything else. Walked back in the house, and my wife was on the phone with her mom and said, a plane just flew into the Trade Center. So I thought it was a small little plane. Turned out it was not a small plane. Saw the second plane fly in. I grabbed my gear, grabbed some books, threw them into the car and went off to work. On my way in, I was on the Grand Central Parkway, and you could see the towers. And when I made the bend, the tower was gone. So got into work. The engine in the truck, I was assigned to Corona, engine 289 and 138 quarters. And we started putting some tools together, and we were told to go to Shea Stadium, now known as Citi Field, and stage there. And we were going to get on buses and go into the city. So we're on the buses ready to go, and they told us to stand down because there was a possible another threat. Got off the buses, we got ready to go again. And they said, all right, you're not going. Go back to quarters. We have some fire departments from Long Island coming into your quarters. Get them all, set up on how to fight fires in New York City. And that's what we did that evening. In the morning, we were deployed down to the Trade Center and started looking for people because it was still a rescue operation. So that's where my path started.
Mm-hmm. So, Ron, you got an interesting opportunity to come to work as the executive director for the foundation just shortly before 9/11. So can you tell us a little bit about what was going through your head as the new executive director and then facing this?
It was a normal day for me in Emmitsburg. That's where the foundation is located, right there at the grounds of the National Fire Academy. And my home is about 2 hours away, so it's a long drive. So I tend to leave early to get in the office started around 8 o'clock. And I had, as you'd said, John, just 10 weeks earlier, I had retired as the chief of Prince George's County, Maryland. And I, like so many others, heard about the first plane crash. We turned the TV on in the office and we're watching. And the newscaster is giving the report. And behind him is the tower burning. And as the report is going on, the second tower hit. And like so many people, you've heard this a million times, I knew then that it was no longer an aviation accident, but an attack on our nation. And for me, it was knowing that there were members of the FDNY that were going to go into those buildings and do everything they can to save as many lives, and if possible, deal with the fire if they could. And when the towers collapsed, I knew that there was going to be massive amounts of firefighters lost, and that the foundation needed to be prepared for that because our mission, of course, to honor the fallen and help the families deal with the loss of their loved one was going to be truly an astronomical event for us because we were a small operation, just 5 staff, and we handled the National Memorial Service every year. And now we're going to see triple the number of firefighters who died in the line of duty each year prior to that. And so we began to prepare. And the next thing you know, we get a call from FEMA that they wanted to provide some family assistance early on, especially with the numbers of firefighters that were not identified and lost, and the families going through the grief and trauma of losing their loved one and not knowing where their loved one was. So we were asked to go to New York the next day. And that's when I really began to be involved directly with the FDNY. The foundation began to provide support and assistance. And 20 years later, we're still.
Oh, we got Ron, you got muted there. You were muted there for just a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I'd finished.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a great segue to Victor. You came to work for the foundation and have been involved for a significant period of time as well. The relationship between the FDNY and the foundation is fairly unique, but from your perspective, since you used to do the job that I'm currently doing now, how has that sort of panned out for you?
Well, yeah, early on, it was very evident that we had a really rich connection with FDNY. When I first came on as the director of fire programs, I had the opportunity, and I still joke, I used to have a fun job. Now you get the fun job, but it's, going to New York, connecting with Frank Lido and the counseling unit, and the FDNY Foundation and the Family Assistance Unit. It was very, very evident that, we had a really good, rich connection. We've had the opportunities to be involved with their training days, and they used to have and they may still do these, but it was a 2-day training event where people from all over the country would come to FDNY to get training, and we were able to interject some of the Everyone Goes Home components. When we worked on the 2011 documentary that Rob was involved with, it's just another really rich experience, probably a lot of what you were able to experience working on the more recent one. I think it was Chief Reynes was the chief of safety at the time. And, I remember meeting with them, and as they went through to talk about, how we were going to develop the video or the documentary, they went through and looked at all the 16 initiatives and said, we're working on one of the initiatives in one form or another. We may just not have identified that. So we were able to really make those connections, and it was just a great experience. And I just love the fact that here we are 10 years later, and we're still have this really good connection with FDNY and the partnership. It's been extraordinarily valuable.
Thanks, Victor. And that sort of leads me to a question for Rob. And actually, this is a question for Rob and for Chief Meyers and for Joe. Actually, 2 parts. What was it like to work on the documentary? And then secondly, what is it that you want the viewers to take away from this 20-year story? So, Rob?
Well, this is the 3rd NFFF documentary that I've worked on with the FDNY. And, it's just been a remarkable honor to meet these incredible members of the FDNY and work with them. And, they're all such great characters and all have wonderful stories. It's real easy for me as a director to just ask a couple of questions and then get out of the way and let everybody just tell their story the way they want to tell it. And they have been so gracious and trusting of us, and they knew to a person that we had their best interest at heart, and we're going to put them in the right light, and represent them in the way they deserve to be represented. So I would say it's been a noble experience. It's been, other than really, my marriage and my children, it's been the best professional experience I could have ever had. And I take it very, very seriously. And just in terms of what I want people to take away from this truly is, and I'm just echoing what some of the firefighters and officers have said, which was, maybe the FDNY has adapted in the last 20 years. For sure, they've adapted, and the technology is better than it's ever been, and how elaborate the training is now, and the emphasis on leadership development is greater than it's ever been. But it's the same people I meet now that I met 20 years ago. Just remarkable people who will give you the shirt off their back and will do whatever they can do to get you out of trouble. And I don't think that's ever changed in the FDNY. So, I mean, that's really what I've learned from my experiences.
Chief Meyers?
Yeah, it actually was, it was amazing to, when I first got asked to spearhead this from the FDNY perspective by the folks from the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation, trying to assemble the list of people to get interviewed, right? To the people to put together, to make it a solid documentary, and to have the, what the NFFF's objectives were combined with our objective, right? Which is always about never forgetting and remembering everybody who's come before us. It just was great to be able to give those people a voice through you and through this documentary, so that they could tell their story. And it was important for a lot of them to get it out, right? In some way, it's all therapeutic in some way, right? Talking about it actually somehow starts to heal us. I don't know how, but it's true. It does. After going through, like you said before, the Father's Day fire, and then going through 9/11, and you know, before that, the Atlantic Avenue fire for myself as a member of 175, getting hit with these tragedies and getting a chance to tell your story to your peers, and again, to have that trait, faith and trust in you folks as you're filming that and making it come to life. It was a great experience, and combined with, again, it's not just a sad story, it's a story of resilience and rebuilding that we wanted to tell, and that was great to be able to do that.
Thank you. Joe?
Oh, well said, Chief. Very well said. Well, for me, it was, I've worked on the previous documentaries with Danny Milley and Chief Reynes, and my relationship with the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation and the FDNY comes from a passion for the FDNY, a passion because I was an FDNY member. And I see what the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation does, not only for New York City, but for the whole fire service around the country. So with this documentary, I was able to look at both brands. I was looking at the brand for the FDNY, the membership that includes the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation and all the families that the foundation supports. And that's where the whole tie-in is together. The FDNY members and the members of the fire service around the country, we're supported by our families. So we have to look at everything as a whole and say, how can we represent everybody and tell a story that is compelling and is protective of everybody? And that's what I think, Rob, in your directorship, I think that's what we did. And Chief Meyers, with your leadership, having Tommy Caneen, pick out the members with your guidance and the press officer's guidance on who's going to tell the story. Who's going to tell the story of rebuilding the FDNY? Who's going to tell the story about the passion that the members, regardless if it's civilians, EMS, fire, regardless of what it is, we have a passion to serve our community. And I think in this documentary, it stands out above everything else, is that we are a family, not a family amongst ourselves, but a family with the communities that we serve. So I think my role in seeing both brands, I think, was supported by everybody behind the camera, everybody in front of the camera. And I thank you for the moments to share that. And I thank all the people that were part of this documentary and telling their story and trusting us and making sure that they're good at the end of the day. So thank you, John.
Well, I want to say thanks on behalf of everyone who was able to join us this evening. We're right up against the 7 o'clock hour when the premiere is dropping for people to see. Again, you can watch it on NFFF Facebook, go to the NFFF Facebook page, or you can go to firehero.org, the foundation's website, and excuse me, catch the premiere there. On behalf of all of our panel this evening, I want to say thanks to everyone that joined us. We certainly hope you take the lessons from the documentary and the insight from the gentlemen that were here this evening and take it home to your fire department and your family and do the best that you can to take care of each other. So it has been truly an honor and a privilege to work on this project, get to know Chief Meyers, work closely with Joe, Rob, and thanks to Chief Siarnicki and Victor for everything that they've done to help support our mission of taking care of the firefighters and their families in need. So hope you enjoy the premiere and we'd appreciate your feedback. So, well, thank you all. Have a good night.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye now. Thank you.
Well.